Traditional fantasy. Decisive killing plus emperor plus swordsmanship plus divine and demon calcination plus divine mind master. Young Xu Chen, when he was betrayed and almost died tragically, the Heavenly Emperor Hall appeared, passed down once, and changed his fate against the heavens. Emperor-level martial arts, effortlessly pinch it. There has always been a legend about the Heavenly Emperor Temple in the world. In the palace, there is an unparalleled inheritance from the Great Emperor. The ancient and modern Heavenly Devouring Emperor. The swallowing Emperor's secret devours everything from heaven to earth, and when practiced to perfection, even the Great Way can be devoured. The war god of heaven and earth. Zhan Tian Jue is an invincible battle in heaven and earth. When trained to perfection, the combat power is increased by 256 times. The fist breaks through the world and the bullet finger destroys the stars. The Yellow Spring Emperor who devours the world with his breath. The stunningly talented Void Emperor. Chapter 1. Tiandi Temple. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Qingfeng City. Xu Family. Dungeon. Dark, damp, and foul-smelling. The iron chains with thick arms tightly bound a young man, unable to move. The boy's name is Xu Chen. Young master of the Xu family. The first day of Qingfeng City. But that is already a thing of the past. Now he has become a prisoner. Life is better than death. After 6 months of torture, his life is now on the brink of death. The eyelids seemed heavy, unable to open them, and it took some effort to slowly open them. Xu Chen was in pain and gasped for breath. The chest pain is severe. My whole body seems to have been drained of blood. He knew that his life was coming to an end. But he is not willing. Not willing to die like this. Endless hatred burned in his eyes. Crunch, the dungeon gate slowly opened. 2 figures walked in. 1 male and 1 female. Men are handsome, women are pretty. However, when Xu Chen saw the 2 of them, his originally disheartened face quickly took on a sickly blush, and his whole face twisted and ferocious. Qin. Tai. Qin. Jing. The voice is hoarse and deep. Like a dying beast. Qin Tai looked at Xu Chen with a fierce expression on his face and smiled proudly. Xu Chen, your life is really cheap. It has been 6 months now, and you are still struggling to survive. Qin Tai, why? Why did you do this? 10 years ago, your father, along with your siblings, was chased and injured, and fled to Qingfeng City. It was I who took you in. Over the years, I treated you like brothers. Why did I ever mistreat you? Xu Chen looked up with difficulty, his eyes red as he stared at Qin Tai and asked him the question that had troubled him for half a year. Brother. Qin Tai laughed heartily and said, ha ha ha, do you consider me a brother? If you really consider me a brother, why don't you pass on the true fire technique to me? I have begged you 3 times, and you have refused all 3 times. Xu Chen said, the true fire technique is a martial art of our Xu family's Zhenzu clan. Non-legitimate children cannot practice it. Clever argument. Qin Tai roared ferociously, I can't even bear to pass on the Huang-level advanced martial arts to me. Do you still have the face to say that you treat me like a brother? From beginning to end, I was just a dog in your eyes. Xu Chen, you're lucky. Others don't have as much luck as you. Your old servant is old and bloodless, and he didn't persist for a month before he passed away. And your personal guard, who took his last breath a month ago. Qin Tai, I killed. You, I killed you. Xu Chen's eyes were red, and despite his injuries, he struggled frantically. The chains clattered. Qin Jing, who had a beautiful appearance, said calmly, Xu Chen, you can't easily die before the insect eggs on your chest hatch. Qin Tai sneered and said, Sister, you're right. You have to persevere until the insect hatches successfully in your chest. As he spoke, he walked up to Xu Chen and stared passionately at his chest. The flesh and blood on Xu Chen's chest had already decayed, and a beating heart could be faintly seen, with a thumb-sized black insect egg inside the heart. Black insect eggs are continuously devouring Xu Chen's blood. Xu Chen, you are truly the first genius of Qingfeng City. With 7 levels of qi cultivation, your blood is truly powerful. The Gu insect hatched with your heart's blood is at least the pinnacle of the first level after birth. You are such a good person. Before you died, you hatched a potential insect for me. Tell me for yourself, how can I thank you? Xu Chen looked resentful. Hate oneself for being incompetent and unable to protect loved ones. Hate oneself for being soft-hearted and accepting a group of ungrateful people. Hate oneself for being blind and trusting the wrong thief. I hate myself even more for marrying Qin Qingru, that slut. Qin Qingru. Qin Tai and Qin Jing's younger sister. His hatred towards Qin Qingru is still above Qin Tai. On that day, when Qin Wei and his son joined forces with outsiders to attack and kill members of the Su family, he was escorted by the elders of the clan. As he was about to break out of the encirclement, Qin Qingru suddenly appeared and blocked the way. Qin Qingru, who had always been weak, showed astonishing strength. In Qin Qingru's hands, he was captured alive without even persevering in the 3 moves, and became a prisoner, becoming a tool for incubating poisonous insects. Life was more than death. After Qin Qingru captured him, she coldly said, "You are too weak to be my husband. Leave this sentence behind. Kill the Su family and others with a sword." 3 elders, 5 elders, Su Feng, Su Yu, Su Feng, one clan after another died under Qin Qingru's sword. His clan members died tragically one after another, and he fainted with grief. After waking up, he was imprisoned in a dungeon and had never seen Qin Qingru again. Qin Tai touched his chin with a pensive expression on his face, and finally clapped his hand, saying, "As a token of gratitude, before you die, I tell you a secret. Your father Su Zhantian did not die tragically at the mouth of a monster a year ago, but at the hands of my master." Xu Chen's eyes widened. Flames of hatred burned in my eyes. "Big brother, talk nonsense to a dead person," Qin Jing interrupted Qin Tai's words. She walked forward, looked carefully, and said, 3 days later, the Gu insect will hatch out. Xu Chen, take this pill. No way. Xu Chen recognized at a glance that Qin Jing was holding a pill called Ranming pill. This is a pill that burns life at the cost of forcibly increasing blood and qi. Qin Jing was afraid that he would suddenly die, which would lead to the failure of the hatching of Gu insects. "I don't appreciate it, even if I don't eat, I have to eat." Qin Jing's eyes turned cold, and she forcefully opened Xu Chen's mouth and stuffed the burning pill into it. As the burning life pill entered his stomach, Xu Chen only felt a burning sensation in his stomach, and his whole body instantly became much more energetic. Qi and blood are also slowly climbing. The heart, which had already shown signs of failure, seemed to have received a dose of cardiac stimulant, regaining its vitality and beating more vigorously. Qin Jing saw this, and a beautiful curve curved at the corner of her mouth. The burning pill has worked. "Big brother, let's go and come back in 3 days to collect the Gu insects." Qin Jing and Qin Tai walked out of the dungeon. Xu Chen's eyes were red. He stared intently at the 2 figures walking out of the dungeon, with a wild roar emanating from his throat. "Qin Jing, Qin Tai, if I don't die, I will slaughter your entire family." Bang! The dungeon gate slammed shut. Xu Chen roared angrily. Over and over again. Endlessly venting the qi and blood in the body. He would rather vent his qi and blood inside his body than give it to Gubu at a cheap price. I don't know how long it has been. Xu Chen finally exhausted his last bit of strength. My eyes turned black. Directly plunged into darkness. In a daze. He saw a grand and mysterious hall. The main hall floats in the endless void. The surroundings are pitch black and devoid of light. No wind, no sound. Everything seems to have come to a standstill. Only the main hall emits soft light, like a star in the endless void. Xu Chen fixed his gaze on it. I saw that the entire hall was made of bronze, emitting a chaotic atmosphere and rules lingering around. What caught Xu Chen's breath was that the bronze hall was covered in scars from swords and halberds, and he didn't know what kind of brutal battle he had experienced. The main hall is missing a corner, with a smooth and even cut surface, as if it has been cut off by a sharp blade. Gudu. Xu Chen swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He took a few steps forward and arrived at the front of the main hall. With a creak, the door automatically opened. Xu Chen took a step back and shouted towards the main hall, "Is anyone there?" The hall was completely silent, with no one responding. After shouting a few times but receiving no response, Xu Chen took a breath and cautiously walked into the main hall. At the moment of entering the main hall, Xu Chen's gaze was immediately attracted by the ancient statue standing inside the hall. The material of the statue looks very ordinary. Gray splashes. Without any color. The features of the statue are shrouded in various shades of rosy light. Can't see it really. The statues have different shapes. The sword emperor holding a divine sword, the demon with 3 heads and 6 arms, the emperor wearing an imperial crown. The compassionate Buddha. The god of war and earth. As Xu Chen looked at the statue, strands of divine consciousness were released from the statue, silently communicating in mid-air. After 100,000 years, someone has finally entered the Heavenly Emperor Hall. Surprisingly, he is a mortal body with poor talent. He is about to die. He's dead. We don't know how many thousand years we'll have to wait here again. Do you really want to watch his spirit dissipate? Whether he dies or not has nothing to do with me. He is not worthy of inheriting my legacy. A divine sense suddenly said, I have been trapped here for 100,000 years, and I have been here long enough. If you don't save me, I will come to save you. It's just a way to escape. The bronze hall shook violently. Click, the statue, resembling a demon god, has cracked open. Boom. The huge statue exploded. A black light cluster rushed towards Xu Chen as fast as lightning. Xu Chen avoided it too quickly. Chapter 2. The Heaven-Eating Emperor Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dungeon. Xu Chen covered his head with a painful expression on his face. I don't know how long it has been. The painful expression on his face gradually disappeared. He was panting heavily. At the brink of death, I unexpectedly entered the Heavenly Emperor Hall and inherited the legacy of the Devouring Emperor. He was both surprised and delighted. Help. Qin Tai, Qin Jing, I said I would destroy your entire family. The tone is eerie. My eyes were filled with killing intent. By the way, can I still enter the Heavenly Emperor Hall? He restrained his mind, his eyes slightly closed, and could vaguely feel the Heavenly Emperor Hall floating in the endless void. He has a slight connection with the Heavenly Emperor Hall. As long as he is willing, the Heart God can enter the Heavenly Emperor Hall at any time. It seems that the physical body cannot enter. Is it because the Heavenly Emperor Temple is too far away from me? Although his physical body could not enter, Xu Chen still breathed a sigh of relief. Restore spiritual power first. His mind twitched. The Heaven-Eating Emperor Technique, operate. Emperor-level martial arts. Devouring and refining all energy for personal use. In the Xiantian continent, the martial arts are divided from low to high into Huang, Xian, Di, Tian, Sheng, Wang, Huang, and Di. Each stage is further subdivided into 3 small stages. Low, medium, and high. The clan control technique of the Xu family in Qinfeng City is just a yellow level high. Level true fire technique, which is different from the Heavenly Emperor technique in Heaven and Earth. In the Zhenwu continent, martial arts above the heavenly level are already rare, and imperial level martial arts only exist in legends. The Heavenly Emperor technique has 9 layers, and the 9th layer of the Heavenly Emperor technique can even devour the rules of heaven and earth. Its power is indescribable in words. Although Xu Chen has only initially mastered the first layer, his power still cannot be underestimated. As soon as the Heaven-Eating Emperor technique was activated, a terrifying suction emanated from Xu Chen's body, swallowing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the dungeon. The insect, which was about to hatch from its chest, suddenly squeaked and let out a scream, then withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Pop! The energy of goo insect eggs is swallowed up and turned into powder, slowly dissipating. At the same time, the spiritual energy from heaven and earth outside the dungeon converges, forming a funnel-shaped vortex of spiritual energy. Endless spiritual energy converges into a small stream, crazily pouring into the dungeon. At this moment, there seems to be an invisible big mouth in the dungeon, and the whale is recklessly sucking on the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Sister, look. Qin Tai, walking towards the direction of the dungeon, was attracted by this movement and pointed to the spiritual vortex above the dungeon, exclaiming in surprise and joy. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth converges, and this movement. The goo insect has emerged. Is this commotion, the emergence of Beast King level insects? Even if it's not a Beast King level gooboo, this gooboo has extraordinary potential. Refining it into a natural gooboo, I can easily become a martial artist in the condensing chi realm. Xu Chen's essence and blood are indeed extraordinary. Let's go, enter the dungeon, catch the goo insect. The 2 siblings were overjoyed and couldn't wait to rush into the dungeon. They quickly arrived at the room where Xu Chen was being detained. Xu Chen heard the sound of footsteps and slowly raised his head, staring coldly at the 2 figures walking rapidly. Xu Chen, are you still alive? Seeing Xu Chen looking up, Qin Tai was slightly surprised. But soon he laughed again and said, you can't die like this. Your life is really big, just right. After you cultivate for a period of time, continue to use your essence and blood to cultivate goo insects. Qin Jing's eyes lit up and she said, this method is good. Xu Chen suppressed his anger and slowly said, you 2 siblings are really vicious. Malicious. Qin Tai was slightly taken aback and immediately burst into laughter, saying, the weak eat the strong. Xu Chen, you have fallen to this point. Don't blame the heavens and the people. If you want to blame yourself as a useless person. You said it well. Xu Chen nodded silently. Qin Jing reminded, big brother, talk nonsense to him. Hurry up and take away the goo bug. Upon Qin Jing's reminder, Qin Tai looked at Xu Chen's chest. It didn't matter if he didn't look, but he was shocked to find that the previously ulcerated skin on Xu Chen's chest had now returned to its original state. He was stunned for a moment, then his face changed and he shouted, Xu Chen, where is my gooboo? Where did you hide my gooboo? Give it up quickly, otherwise I will make your life worse than death. He is still unaware of the crisis. I thought Xu Chen had hidden the goo insect. Xu Chen gave Qin Tai a cold glance and suddenly opened his mouth to suck in the spiritual vortex above the dungeon, which he swallowed in one gulp. Make me feel like I'm living or dying. Cultivate gooboo with my essence and blood. Xu Chen grabbed the iron chain with both hands and pulled it hard. With a loud bang, the chain broke. Qin Jing and Qin Tai were greatly shocked. The 2 instinctively kept retreating. Do you also know that you're afraid? Xu Chen walked slowly towards the 2 of them. Shoo! A black light suddenly shot towards Xu Chen. Extremely fast speed. In a blink of an eye. The distance between the black light and Xu Chen's eyebrow is less than 3 inches. As the black light was about to hit Xu Chen's eyebrows, a powerful devouring force suddenly emanated from Xu Chen's eyebrows. The black light is like sinking into a swamp. Frozen 3 inches in the center of Xu Chen's eyebrows. Squeezing. The thumb-sized black insect struggled fiercely. Make a frightened sound. The smile on Qin Tai's face froze. He thought his sudden attack would catch Xu Chen off guard, but he didn't expect that not only did he fail to harm Xu Chen, but Gu Bug was also imprisoned by the other party. Under Qin Tai's frightened gaze, Xu Chen extended his right hand and pinched the Gu insect, saying, "The art of witchcraft in Gu, Xiao Dao." Words fall. With a loud bang, the black insect was directly crushed by him. The Gu insect was killed, and Qin Tai suffered a backlash. He let out a scream and retreated with a pale face. "You go to hell too." Xu Chen's 5 fingers opened, and a terrifying suction emanated from his palm. Qin Tai's body suddenly flew uncontrollably towards Xu Chen. Pop! Xu Chen grabbed Qin Tai's neck. Qin Taimu was frightened and quickly begged for mercy. No, Xu Chen, don't kill me. My sister is your fiancée A.E. Xu Chen's eyes were cold and unmoved, as he manipulated the Heavenly Emperor technique. Qin Tai was horrified to find that his essence, blood, and spiritual energy were all uncontrollably flowing into Xu Chen's palm. In the blink of an eye, Qin Tai's body had withered and withered, eventually becoming a corpse. Xu Chen's breath became even deeper. "Qin Jing, you can't escape." Watching Qin Jing stumble and flee in a hurry, Xu Chen said coldly. "Xu Chen, how dare you kill my brother? You're dead. As Qin Jing fled, she swore in her heart that Xu Chen was better off dead than alive. The light shines brightly. She finally escaped from the dungeon. My heart couldn't help but relax. "Miss, what's so flustered about?" A group of guards came upon hearing the sound, and the captain of the guards asked with concern. "Xu Chen, get out of trouble, hurry up, kill him quickly." "No, capture him. I will depose him, cut off his limbs, and make his life more difficult than death." Qin Jinghan said in a cold voice. "What? Xu Chen's escape from poverty?" The guards were all shocked at the words. They looked around one after another and saw a figure slowly walking towards the dim dungeon. That figure, they are most familiar with, is their former young master, Xu Chen. Don't panic, everyone. Even if Xu Chen manages to get out of trouble, how much of his strength can he achieve? A Scar guard grinned grimly. With a clanging sound, the sword in his hand was unsheathed. In the next moment, the long sword carried a mournful wind and fiercely struck Xu Chen as he walked out of the dungeon. "Raise your right hand. Bend your finger and flick." Ding! Sparks splatter. The sound of the clash of gold and iron echoed throughout. The long sword flew away, and the Scar guard also flew backwards. The long sword spun out with a loud thud and plunged fiercely into the stone wall, causing cracks to spread outward. And the Scar guard collided with the stone wall, his head shattered, his 7 orifices bleeding, and he died tragically on the spot. The body of Scar guard stopped convulsing, and everyone was still in shock. Chapter 3. The Great Purge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How did Guard Yang fly out? What did Xu Chen do just now? I don't know, I didn't see it clearly. Guard Yang is not moving, is he okay? All of this happened too quickly. The crowd didn't react at all, everything had already ended and they couldn't see what was happening clearly. Qin Jing retreated silently. Captain Li Shan frowned with a serious expression. He was a top martial artist practicing Qi 7, in the same realm as Xu Chen. However, at this moment, he felt immense pressure from the latter. Also, He felt that Xu Chen had changed at this moment, becoming unfamiliar and just like the young master in his memory. Xu Chen took a step forward and his cold, knife-like gaze fell on Qin Jing. Qin Jing is going to die today. Who dares to stop me? Kill me without mercy. Crazy. Get him for me. Captain Li Shan drew his long sword and pointed forward. A guard closest to Xu Chen rushed forward with a brisk step and grinned, "Xu Chen, can't you still recognize reality? You are now a prisoner under the rank. Say it." He swung his fist and threw it at Xu Chen. This punch, carrying a strong gust of wind, smashed towards Xu Chen's face, intending to smash his entire face. Before the punch arrives, the wind has arrived. The fist wind blew a strand of black hair in front of Xu Chen's forehead, revealing his cold eyes. The following offenses are unforgivable: death. Xu Chen raised his hand, palm forward, and met the roaring fist. Pop. Fists and palms intersect, and the strong wind wreaks havoc. When the guard was preparing to withdraw his fist and attack again, his face suddenly changed. His right fist was tightly held by Xu Chen's palm, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't retract it. And what made his face change dramatically was that an astonishing devouring force emanated from Xu Chen's palm. The spiritual power and blood in his body were like a flood flowing out of a gate, crazily flowing away. "No, don't!" he screamed in terror. But in an instant, the cry became weak and unbearable. The faces of others also changed dramatically. They looked frightened. Just because of that guard, it has now turned into a withered corpse. There is no vitality at all. Monster, witchcraft. The guard trembled and said. Captain Li Shan's face changed again and again, and he gritted his teeth and said sternly, "Xu Chen has fallen into the demon realm. Let's all take action together and kill him to eliminate harm for the people." After speaking, he took the lead, jumped up, and struck Xu Chen with a knife. The long sword pierced through the air, carrying a mournful wind. The other guards saw Li Shan take action and drew out their swords to kill Xu Chen together. The cultivation of these guards is all above the 4th level of Qi cultivation, and the captain of the guards, Li Shan, is the pinnacle of Qi cultivation in the 7th level. A dozen or so people rushed forward, and under the chaos of swords, even those who practiced Qi 8-fold martial arts had to retreat. However, faced with the siege of the crowd, Xu Chen casually said, "A group of ants." He stomped the ground hard. Boom! Like a thunderbolt. The earth instantly cracked. Centered around Xu Chen, the earth within a radius of 20 meters is sunken inward, forming a stunning pit. The cracks on the earth spread rapidly outward like spider webs. The guards in the big pit, shaken with 7 meat and 8 vegetables, were swaying and their faces turned pale. Several guards who had killed within 3 meters of Xu Chen even spat out blood and flew out horizontally. One move. Only one move was used. Xu Chen quickly killed all the guards. Only Li Shan, with a pale face, gritted his teeth and swung his knife, continuing to chop towards Xu Chen. Stubborn and unyielding. Death. Xu Chen turned sideways to avoid Li Shan's attack, and with his right hand pointing together, he slashed the latter's chest diagonally. Puff. Blood splattered everywhere. Li Shan's chest seemed to be cut by a sharp blade, his flesh exploding and a shocking knife mark appeared, reaching straight to his heart. Li Shan let out a scream and his body flew backwards like a broken kite. Bang! With a loud bang, the smoke and dust slowed down, and Li Shan smashed a huge pit in the shape of a human on the bluestone ground. At the bottom of the huge pit, Li Shan widened his eyes and stared at Xu Chen in disbelief, saying intermittently, you, are you, condensing Qi realm. In the realm of true martial arts, the cultivation level of martial artists can be divided from low to high, in order. Practicing Qi realm, condensing Qi realm, true Qi realm, controlling Qi realm, creating Qi realm, transforming Qi realm, Qi Si realm, Sage realm, condensation realm. Not yet, but after annihilating you, it should be almost there. Xu Chen muttered to himself in a low voice. Within a few seconds of asking that question, Li Shan had already swallowed his breath. Xu Chen looked at the other guards. These people were originally guards of his Xu family, but after Qin Tai's father and son successfully usurped power, they did not hesitate to join Qin Tai's father and son. Slave bully, it's time to kill. Unforgettable, should be killed. So these people do not hesitate to die. At this point, Xu Chen once again stepped on the ground, with a loud bang, and in between, pieces of gravel splashed out. Poo-poo poo-poo. The gravel is like sharp arrows, mercilessly piercing through the guard's chest, eyebrows, throat and other deadly parts. More than 10 guards died instantly. Xu Chen scanned the corpses everywhere, opened his mouth and sucked in a wave of devouring power. Not long after. More than 10 corpses on the ground have already turned into dry corpses. Not bad, I've honed my qi 8 times. Xu Chen smiled with satisfaction. Immediately. He looked at the hasty fleeing figure and gave a cold smile. Qin Jing, run away. Run faster. I want to see today who can stop the person I want to kill. Who dares to stop? Xu Chen's face showed a playful smile of cat and mouse catching. Qin Jing will die today, but before he dies, he wants to make the other party completely despair and die in despair. With a movement of his feet, Xu Chen caught up and hung behind Qin Jing not far or near. Qin Jing turned around and saw Xu Chen chasing after her. Her face turned pale with fear. As she fled, she loudly called for help. Soon, another group of guards rushed over at the sound. Qin Jing gave a command, then continued to flee without even looking. She knew that this team of guards couldn't stop Xu Chen at all. Sure enough. She ran forward for a distance, and behind her came a scream that lasted for less than 3 breaths before abruptly stopping. Her heart is trembling. 3 breaths. In less than 3 breaths, the entire army was destroyed. She knows what this means. Master is out on business, and now the only one in the Xu family who can save her is the eldest senior brother. Even her father Qin Wei is probably not a match for Xu Chen. Escape, don't stop, keep running. Xu Chen's figure appeared 30 meters behind Qin Jing, urging coldly. Shoo! With a flick of his hand, he swung a sharp sword out, and with a puff, Qin Jing's right arm flew up. Ah! Qin Jing screamed in pain. She covered her severed arm and glanced at the severed hand, not daring to pick it up, let alone slow down, because the killing god behind her was getting closer and closer. Father, help me, help me. Qin Jing suddenly saw a person in front of her. After seeing that person clearly, she was both surprised and happy, and quickly shouted for help. Jinger, your arm. Qin Wei's face suddenly changed when he saw Qin Jing, who had lost his arm in pain. Qin Jing covered her severed arm and loudly said, Father, it's Xu Chen. He injured me, and there's also Big Brother. Big Brother died at the hands of Xu Chen. What? My son. Qin Wei had a sad expression on his face and immediately looked at Xu Chen with a murderous intent. Xu Chen, I spare you from dying, but you hurt my daughter and killed my son. Today, I must have personally killed you. Buzz, a majestic spiritual power emanates and converges into the palm of the right hand. The invisible gray spiritual energy flows upwards, enveloping the entire right hand and finally forming a beast claw. Serious hand. Huang Jie advanced martial arts. As soon as the head of the house came up, he used the serious hand. It seems that he was really angry. Xu Chen is doomed. Not bad, the head of the family is a practitioner of the 9 elements of qi and a powerful heavenly wolf hand. Xu Chen has no reason to not die. The guards who followed up were all shocked, and they saw this scene, with a look of awe in their eyes. At this moment, everyone believes that Xu Chen will undoubtedly die. Only Qin Jing felt uneasy in her heart. She silently retreated behind everyone. If her father couldn't take Xu Chen, she would immediately leave and seek help from her senior brother. Amidst the chatter of the crowd, Qin Wei rushed out with one swift step, his body swiftly approaching Xu Chen like an arrow departing from a string. Death. The gray wolf's hand swept through a terrifying aura and fiercely grabbed Xu Chen. Everyone held their breath and stared at this scene in the audience without blinking. They could almost see the scene of Xu Chen's tragic death. However, the expected scene did not occur for a long time. The wolf claw, carrying a large amount of spiritual power, suddenly froze when it was less than 3 inches away from Xu Chen's chest. Due to Xu Chen's right hand, he inexplicably grabbed Qin Wei's wrist. Make it unable to advance or retreat. Everyone's pupils shrink. Breathing is constantly stagnant. You should know that Qin Wei is a practitioner of the 9 elements of Qi, and the Heavenly Wolf Hand is the top martial arts skill of the Xu family, with immense power that no one can match. The blow that was supposed to be unstoppable and a flash kill was easily taken by Xu Chen. How could this be possible? Everyone was puzzled in their hearts. Chapter 4. Overcoming Enemies. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Qin Wei's grim smile also paused, replaced by a look of astonishment. But before he could react, Xu Chen grabbed Qin Wei's wrist and squeezed it with force. With a click, Qin Wei's wrist was directly crushed. The excruciating pain surged like a tide. Ah! Qin Wei screamed out in pain. Stop it. Xu Chen, stop quickly and don't make mistakes. Help the homeowner quickly. A group of guards reacted, and one by one, the guardians were eager and drew knives to kill Xu Chen. But finally, it was one step late. When they drew their swords to kill, Xu Chen had already activated the Heaven-Eating Emperor technique, and the powerful devouring power flowed along his arm, crazily devouring Qin Wei's spiritual power and blood. Qin Wei struggled hard, but under the tyrannical devouring of the Heavenly Emperor technique, his struggle was so powerless and futile. In a blink of an eye, Qin Wei's tall body has shrunk by a circle. The guards have never seen such a strange scene. Stopping one after another. His face was full of fear. Xu Chen let out a comfortable breath. With a casual flick, Qin Wei, who had already turned into a corpse, was mercilessly thrown out by him. The guards retreated in succession. He looked up at the guards who had stopped and looked frightened, with a calm tone mixed with endless coldness. You were all guards of my Xu family before. Qin Wei and his son committed a crime and conspired to seize the Xu family's property, but we did not see your loyalty and dedication. Now that the thieves are being executed, you still do not repent and are fighting against me. Since that is the case, you do not need to live in this world anymore. Let's all go to hell. The words fell. A group of guards were horrified to find that their spiritual power was also uncontrollably beginning to drain. They retreated in fear. But spiritual power is still losing. Someone turned around to escape. But in the moment of turning around, he was shot dead on the spot by a piece of gravel. Soon, all the guards were reduced to dry corpses. Now, who can still save you? Xu Chen looked at Qin Jing, who had already collapsed on the ground, and walked over step by step. Xu Chen, you have already killed my elder brother and father. For the sake of my sister's affection, please spare me. Qin Jing had already collapsed and began to beg for mercy from Xu Chen. A cold light surged in Xu Chen's eyes. Your sister. If you don't tell me, I almost forgot about her. Where is she? Why isn't she seen after all this commotion? My younger sister is already a disciple of the Luoyuan sect. I see, no wonder I can't see her. She was able to enter the Flowing Cloud sect through the entry-level token of my Xu family's Flowing Cloud sect, right? Luyun sect is one of the 5 major sects of the Taishan kingdom. In order to recruit talented disciples from various factions, the Luyun sect distributes an indefinite number of entry-level tokens to families of all sizes in major cities every 3 years. With these tokens, one can enter the Luyun sect. The Xu family had an entry-level token prepared for Xu Chen, but unexpectedly it ended up being cheaper than Qin grew. Xu Chen, please don't kill me. As long as you don't kill me, I can do anything. Don't you like my sister? I'm not any worse than her. As long as you're willing, I can become your woman. Qin Jing crawled towards Xu Chen like a dog. In order to survive, she spared no expense in recommending her pillowcase. Looking at Qin Jing's charming face, Xu Chen remained unmoved. With a flash of murderous intent in his eyes, he raised his hand and was about to kill him. But at this moment, the sound of breaking through the air came. A person dressed in a grey robe came rushing towards them. Seeing the visitor, Qin Jing's face showed a look of ecstasy and she quickly shouted for help, "Senior brother, help me." The person who came is Qin Jing's senior brother. He was also one of the main culprits who destroyed the Xu family that day. While calling for help, she stumbled and rushed towards the incoming person. No one can save you even if they come. Xu Chen grabbed a long sword with a big hand, and it was sucked into his hand. Then, with a flick of his wrist, the long sword burst into the air with a hissing sound. The sword is like lightning. Pushi. The long sword pierced through Qin Jing's heart and out of her chest. A sword pierces through the heart. Qin Jing's movements stiffened suddenly, she looked down at the long sword piercing through her chest, her lips parted, and finally fell into a pool of blood with unwillingness. The grey-robed man's face immediately darkened as he witnessed Qin Jing's tragic death. Not only did you not die, but you also escaped from the dungeon, and your strength has improved. It seems that you have some skills. But you're too foolish. Die. The person in the grey robe refused to say much, raised his hand and waved it, sending a black light and fire stone-like burst towards Xu Chen, intending to kill him. Humph. Xu Chen sneered coldly. He flicked his finger and a burst of energy shot out, accurately hitting the burst of black light. With a hiss, the black light exploded and the dark green liquid splashed down to the ground. It turns out that the black light is a goo insect. The person in the grey robe saw this and their pupils slightly contracted. What exactly happened to Xu Chen? The person who should have died not only escaped from the dungeon, but also experienced a surge in strength. No matter what happens to you, you will definitely die today. He is extremely confident in himself and believes that no matter how much Xu Chen's strength improves, he is by no means his opponent. His mind twitched, and a buzzing and trembling sound came from his sleeve. Then, a group of insects roared out, covering Xu Chen in the sky. The technique of witchcraft and witchcraft, Shao Daoer, cannot be used on the stage. Xu Chen's disdain for witchcraft and witchcraft was evident in his words. He lifted his right hand and lightly tapped forward. Boom! The majestic spiritual power roared out, interweaving and converging in mid-air into a powerful spiritual hand, and then fiercely suppressed and descended. Click 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 click. The spiritual power has not yet fallen, and the earth has been shattered inch by the strong breath. Boom! The earth has collapsed, and rubble is flying everywhere. Poo-poo poo-poo. The overwhelming number of goo insects, under the attack of the powerful spiritual hand, were all shattered into fragments, leaving no one behind. Impossible. The grey-robed man was both shocked and angry. A face full of disbelief. He is a martial artist from the condensing chi realm, and the most nurtured goo insects are at the later stage of the first level. Hundreds of goo insects flock to him, not to mention just a small martial artist from the condensing chi realm. Even martial artists from the same realm must avoid it. But Xu Chen, you. What am I? Xu Chenlao's useless words slapped again. The spiritual power of the big hand reappears. This time, the target of the spiritual power big hand attack is the gray-robed man. The gray-robed man's face changed dramatically. Then, with a look of despair on his face. Boom! Another loud noise came out. There is another huge pit on the ground. At the bottom of the giant pit, the gray-robed man was covered in blood, his breath was weak, he was on the brink of death from serious injuries. What about your master? Xu Chen walked up to the person in the gray robe and asked from a high position. There were two outsiders who helped Qin Wei and his son destroy the Su family in the beginning. One was the gray-robed man who was seriously injured and dying in front of them, and the other was their master. Cough, cough, cough. Kid, if you want to know the whereabouts of my master, then I'll tell you, my master went to Shay Town 300 miles away. The man in the gray robe, with some unknown purpose, readily revealed the whereabouts of his master. The last word fell, and the person in the gray robe had already passed away. Shay Town. Why did you go to Shay Town? What happened there? Chapter 5. Blood Hand Butcher. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The scale of Shay Town is quite large, with a population of 100,000. The streets are crisscrossing, houses are numerous, pedestrians are numerous, and commerce is extremely prosperous. Xu Chen rushed on overnight and was already hungry. Finally, he stopped in front of a restaurant called Xianke. The shopkeeper saw the situation and quickly humbly greeted him, "Young master, would you like to play or eat?" Eating. After speaking, he strode into the restaurant. The restaurant has 3 floors in total. On the first floor, in the lobby, there are more than 10 tables, and at this time, there are 7 or 8 tables of warriors dining in the lobby. The second floor has a separate private room. On the third floor, the VIP room requires a certain level of identity to enter. "Young master, is it the first or second floor?" the shopkeeper asked with a smile. "Let's go to the first floor." Xu Chen walked straight to a table at the corner. "Young master, what would you like to eat?" "Just serve a few of your specialty dishes." Xu Chen took out his chair and sat down. He picked up a teapot and poured himself a cup, casually saying, "Wait a moment." The waiter left with a smile on his face. Xu Chen drank a cup of tea and looked at the group of people who had paid the bill and left at the next table. He frowned and said, "Since I entered Shay Town, I have seen more than 10 waves of martial artists with hurried expressions. Is that possible? What's really strange about Shay Town?" At this moment, a group of people walked in. Xu Chen looked up. A total of 7 people came in. 5 men and 2 women. After entering the restaurant, the 7 people did not stop and walked directly to the second floor. The backs of the 7 disappeared behind the staircase, and Xu Chen vaguely heard diners whispering from a few tables apart. "He is a disciple of the Luyun sect." I didn't expect the news to spread so quickly that even the disciples of Luyun sect rushed over at the sound. Not only the Luyun sect, I heard that disciples from Tianjian Mountain Villa have also arrived. It's getting more and more interesting now. The birth of Xuefu is destined to be another bloody battle. Sure enough, something's up. Xu Chen's eyes lit up. After listening for a while, Xu Chen finally understood. Shay Town. In the west, 30 miles away, there is a sand river. A month ago, the Shay River was in a strange movement, and spiritual energy converged and passed away. A water mansion was born in the river after the news flowed out, countless warriors flocked in, which led to the current situation. Qin Jing's master, I believe he also came for Xuefu. Shay Town is too large with a population of 100,000. Finding him is like searching for a needle in a haystack. I just need to guard the entrance of Xuefu. After being full of alcohol and food, Xu Chen was about to get up and leave. A man with a long sword on his back and a fierce scar on his face strode in. The scar man has a strong aura. A suffocating bloody aura emanated from the body. As if this person had walked out of a sea of corpses and blood. As soon as I entered the restaurant, the originally bustling hall suddenly fell silent. You can smell the needle falling. The scar man's cold gaze swept around the crowd before walking straight up to the second floor. What a strong murderous aura, who is this person? A diner lowered their voice and asked the others. It's him. Who the hell is he? He is a villain on the wanted list, a bloody butcher. Blood hand butcher, it's actually him. The blood hand butcher once slaughtered a village of 1,000 people overnight, and the cruel methods were terrifying. It is said that a disciple of the Lingye sect, who chased and killed the blood hand butcher for thousands of miles, was still managed to escape. Damn it. Let's go. There are disciples of the Flowing Cloud sect upstairs. If the blood hand butcher conflicts with the disciples of the Flowing Cloud sect, if we stay here, we will inevitably suffer the consequences of the fish pond. The faces of the diners changed dramatically. Everyone stood up and prepared to leave. But at this moment, a sudden roar came from upstairs. Bloodthirst butcher, you have indiscriminately killed innocent people and are full of evil. Today, our martial brothers will exterminate the people and suffer death. 7 miscellaneous fish also want to kill me. The blood hand butcher sneered coldly. Look at the clothes on you, you must be disciples of the Lingye sect. Unfortunately, you will fall here today. The next moment. A terrifying collision sound erupted upstairs. Strong airflow swept across all directions. The tables and chairs on the second floor were shattered by the shock, and some diners who couldn't leave in time were bleeding from their 7 orifices and howling incessantly. Let's go. The diners on the first floor had a big change in complexion. Rushing to escape from this place. Xu Chen didn't want to cause trouble and followed the crowd out of the restaurant, watching the excitement outside. Boom. The window on the second floor of the restaurant exploded. Sawdust splashes. Several figures jumped down. After the 7 disciples of the Lingye sect landed, they immediately surrounded the blood hand butcher in the center. Blood hand butcher, this is your burial ground, you can't escape. The disciple in blue pointed his sword at the blood hand butcher and confidently said. I don't know how to live or die. The blood hand butcher had a cold expression on his face. Boom. The ground beneath the blood hand butcher's feet suddenly cracked open. The sky and the earth split apart. The crowd watching from afar only felt that the dragon was flipping over and standing unsteadily. And the 7 disciples of the Lingye sect who surrounded the blood hand butcher, although not unstable, were also affected and their spiritual power was disrupted. The blood hand butcher seized this opportunity and, like a blood tiger, punched like a strong wind. With a loud bang, he punched the young man in green. The young man in green hastily swung his sword. Bang! The clash of fists and swords erupted into the sound of a clash of gold and iron. Drink! The blood hand butcher let out a low shout, and his fist erupted. He swung open his long sword, took the center gate, and fiercely hit the chest of the young man in blue. Click! The sound of bone fracture echoed through. The young man in green clothes flew back with blood. The remaining 6 disciples of the Lingye sect had a dramatic change in their faces. In the blink of an eye, the strongest young man in green among the 7 of them surprisingly lost. Puff! The young man in green clothes, bleeding from his 7 orifices after landing, stared at the blood hand butcher in shock and anger. You are so despicable that you have hidden your cultivation. Chapter 6. Cutting the blade with bare hands, kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hahaha, as early as a month ago, I broke through to the condensation state. If you want to blame me, blame my bad luck. The blood hand butcher laughed proudly. The remaining 6 people's faces changed once again. The Blood Hand Butcher surprisingly broke through. In their daze, the Blood Hand Butcher struck again with a bang, and the 2 figures flew backwards in confusion. After the remaining 4 people reacted, they joined forces to surround and kill the Blood Hand Butcher. 7 people working together cannot defeat the Blood Hand Butcher. Now 4 people, who is the opponent of the Blood Hand Butcher? After more than a dozen moves, the Blood Hand Butcher kicked one person away and slapped the other to death, leaving only 2 people with fear in their hearts and fleeing separately. But before they could escape a few steps, the 2 were caught up by the Blood Hand Butcher and fiercely attacked, killing them on the spot. The scene was completely silent. Countless viewers were trembling with fear. Bold and daring. How dare the Blood Hand Butcher kill the disciples of the sect? Aren't you afraid of the wrath of the Flowing Cloud sect? Killing 1 is killing, killing 2 is also killing, haha, all 7 of you go die. The Blood Hand Butcher had gone crazy and walked forward, repeatedly repairing his wounds. 7 people had already died and 6 others had died. Only the young man in green clothes remains. The young man in green looked at the approaching Blood Hand Butcher with fear in his heart, and his hands trembled uncontrollably. Shoo! He endured his injuries, flipped over, and swept towards the crowd in the distance. Do seriously injured bodies want to escape? The Blood Hand Butcher joked. The young man in green rushed towards the crowd, reached out his big hand, grabbed one person, and threw it at the Blood Hand Butcher. Puff! The Blood Hand Butcher slapped the person who flew in, and their body exploded, resulting in a tragic death on the spot. The magic hand of the young man in green is reaching out to the crowd. In order to survive, he used the lives of innocent people to stop the Blood Hand Butcher. And the person he was targeting this time was none other than Xu Chen. Is this the way disciples of the sect behave in order to survive and harm innocent people? Xu Chen's heart was filled with anger. Kid, I'm sorry, but if you could die for me, it would still be an honor to die. The young man in green did not stop, as he was about to catch Xu Chenji. Pop! Xu Chen grabbed the young man in green clothes by the wrist with a surprised expression on his face. The young man in green looked surprised. Is it still honorable to die? Even you deserve it. Get out of here. With a forceful flick of Xu Chen's wrist, the young man in green was like a broken kite, flying fiercely for several tens of meters. Boom! The young man in green was like a shooting star, fiercely smashing into the wall. The terrifying impact caused the brick and stone walls to collapse, burying the young man in it, unaware of his life or death. The crowd who kept retreating was stunned. One by one, they looked at Xu Chen in disbelief. Xu Chen, who looked only 16 or 17 years old, unexpectedly repelled a disciple of the Luyun sect with one move. Although the young man in green has been injured, it should not be underestimated. The Blood Hand Butcher, who quickly arrived, also showed a surprised expression and immediately looked at Xu Chen coldly. Kid, are you also a disciple of the sect? The Blood Hand Butcher asked coldly. Xu Chen said, no, it's not. The Blood Hand Butcher asked again, are you also here to kill me? No, it's not. Xu Chen's expression remained unchanged. The Blood Hand Butcher began to drive people away. Since it's not, then let's go. Xu Chen turned around and left. However, in the moment he turned around, the Blood Hand Butcher's face suddenly showed a hint of killing intent, and the blood-colored spiritual power surged in his right hand. Death. He punched the fatal part of Empress Xu Chen's heart. I want to put Xu Chen to death. I have been acting recklessly all my life, burning, killing, and looting, but my favorite is the genius of torture and killing. Boy, you're unlucky enough to meet me. Die. The Blood Hand Butcher laughed wildly. The next moment, his fist pierced through Xu Chen's heart directly. The Blood Hand Butcher's face stiffened with a smile. Xu Chen's figure slowly dissipated. Surprisingly, it was a remnant. I've been guarding against you for a long time. Xu Chen's figure appeared 10 meters behind the Blood Hand Butcher and sneered. The Blood Hand Butcher suddenly turned around and stared at Xu Chen with a serious expression. There were a few moments, it seems like I took a wrong look. He licked his mouth and revealed his murderous intent, but you're really stupid. You didn't take the opportunity to escape. Do you want to learn from those useless people of Luyun's sect and take my head? I don't know how to write the word die. The killing intent on the Blood Hand Butcher rushed towards him. Xu Chen's face was calm and he said lightly, your hands are covered in blood, and there are also many sect disciples who have died in your hands. You must have accumulated a lot of spirit stones in your hands, right? The Blood Hand Butcher frowned slightly, and Xu Chen's calm face and indifferent tone made him feel a bit of crisis, as if something life-threatening was about to happen. But as soon as this idea surfaced, it was rejected by him. How could it be that a young man who is only 16 or 17 years old, even if he is a disciple of the sect, cannot compete with himself? The 7 disciples of the Luyun sect are living examples. As far as this is concerned. The Blood Hand Butcher suppressed his unease and grinned, you have so much nonsense, death. As the words fell, he clenched his big hand and a bloody long sword suddenly appeared in his hand. Xiao, as the sound of breaking through the air echoed, the blood-colored long sword, wrapped in a brilliant sword aura, struck Xu Chen head-on. Under the aura of the sword, Xu Chen slowly lifted his right hand. Seeking death. The Blood Hand Butcher sneered when he saw the situation. The onlookers also shook their heads one after another. How can a flesh and blood body confront divine weapons and sharp weapons? They almost saw the bloody scene of limbs flying horizontally. Some people couldn't bear to close their eyes. The next moment. Knife collides with hand. The expected bloody scene of limbs flying horizontally did not occur. Ding! Sparks splatter. The sound of the clash of gold and iron resounded loudly. Next up. Click. Under countless gazes, the blood-colored long sword suddenly broke into 2 pieces. The half-blade flew out under force, then was grabbed by a large hand and swung fiercely. Puff. The blade cuts through the neck of the Blood Hand Butcher, cuts through the skin, tears through the trachea, and blood gushes like a spring. Ding-dang. Half of the long knife fell to the ground, and the Blood Hand Butcher covered his neck in fear. But this move is undoubtedly of no use. Hot blood dripped from between his fingers, and in the blink of an eye, it dyed a large area of soil red. Who are you? Dead people don't need to know so much. Xu Chen exerted force on his wrist and half of the blade flew out, hissing and chopping off the head of the Blood Hand Butcher. The onlookers opened their mouths wide and were stunned. Everything happened too quickly. At the previous moment, they were still regretting Xu Chen's impending tragic death, and the next moment, the Blood Hand Butcher had already separated his body and died to the point where he could no longer die. What kind of strength is it to almost kill the Blood Hand Butcher in person? More importantly, the one who killed the Blood Hand Butcher was still a 16-year-old boy. This person has the ability to kill the Blood Hand Butcher since he was young, and his future achievements are limitless, said a Scar warrior softly. On the other side, the warrior firmly said, such a genius must be a disciple of the sect. Only the 5 great gates can cultivate such arrogance. I don't know which sect this person comes from. No matter which sect's disciples they are not something we can provoke. As everyone was discussing, Xu Chen had already walked to the body of the Blood Hand Butcher and took off the ring from his right ring finger. The black ring exudes some spiritual power. A ring is not an ordinary thing. But rather, it is the storage spiritual ring that contains sumaru in mustard seeds. The Blood Hand Butcher's life savings were all stored in the spirit ring, and now it's cheaper for him. After searching for the remains of the Blood Hand Butcher, Xu Chen looked at the body of a disciple of the Flowing Cloud sect. The resources of disciples in the sect are extremely abundant. Although these people were not killed by him, once they were plundered of their resources, they would inevitably cause unnecessary trouble for themselves. Think for a moment. Xu Chen walked towards the body of a disciple of the Luyun sect and searched it thoroughly. Killing the blood-hand butcher on my own can be considered as revenge for them. Why not give them some resources in return? When he approached the brick and stone ruins, he found that the young man in green had disappeared without a trace. It was believed that he had secretly slipped away while he was fighting against the blood-hand butcher. Yes. He saved his hand from the previous blow and did not kill the young man in green. As the onlookers gathered more and more, Xu Chen knew that it was not advisable to stay here for a long time. He turned around and walked into the crowd, a few flashes flashing, and the people had already disappeared. Chapter 7. Black-Scaled Python. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sheikh Town. Inn. The doors and windows were tightly closed, and Xu Chen sat on the bed with 10 storage spiritual rings placed in front of him. 6 of the storage rings come from disciples of the Luyun sect, 1 from a blood-hand butcher, 1 from a disciple of the Tianjian sect, and the remaining 2 are from Qin Tai and Qin Jing's senior brothers, respectively. He has already checked everything. The resources in each storage ring may not be abundant, but when combined, they are definitely quite considerable. 12,304 spiritual stones, 17 low-level yellow-level spiritual pills, 7 low-level yellow-level spiritual pills, and 1 intermediate yellow-level spiritual pill. Xu Chen's breathing was slightly rapid. My current cultivation level is only at the peak of practicing the 9th level of Qi. With the power of the Devouring Emperor technique, I am not afraid of the 1st or 2nd level martial artists in the condensing Qi realm. However, I am not a match for the martial artists above the 3rd level of the condensing Qi realm. The water mansion has opened, and countless warriors have flocked in. My strength is clearly limited, and I am not strong enough. Xu Chen looked at the scattered spiritual stones, spiritual pills, and spiritual medicines on the ground. My mind twitched. The Devouring Emperor technique silently operates. Sheikh Town. The West. 30 miles away. The river undergoes abnormal movements. Countless people gathered by the river. Suddenly the earth shakes and the mountains shake. The bottom of the river has cracked several ferocious cracks. The river flows backwards. The water level drops rapidly. A water mansion gradually emerged in public view. Countless blazing gazes stared at this scene. The water mansion has emerged. In the crowd, I don't know who shouted. Go ahead. Ha, I'm 1 step ahead. In an instant, countless figures rushed out and rushed frantically towards the water mansion. Boom! The river suddenly burst open. A huge monster snake swept through the sky with a monstrous aura, rushing out of the water. Hiss! The giant snake opened its bloodthirsty mouth and rushed towards the front warrior, avoiding it and being swallowed directly into its belly. With a flick of the giant snake's tail, it stirred up a big wave with a few bangs. Several figures were drawn away and then exploded in mid-air, turning into blood mist. The sudden upheaval forced those behind to stop their steps. They looked up at the giant snake, which was 10 zhang long and had a head as big as a grinding wheel, covered in cold. Raising his hand and throwing his foot, he killed several people. This demon snake is not easy. 2nd order late-stage monster, black-scaled python. There were many knowledgeable people present, some of whom recognized the species of giant snakes at a glance. It's a 2nd order late-stage monster, the black-scaled python. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's faces changed dramatically and they all retreated. In the later stage of the 2nd level, the demon beast has a combat power comparable to that of a human warrior's condensed Qi realm, weighing 7 or 8 times. The people present were mostly in the Qi cultivation realm, with only a few in the condensed Qi realm, and there were none who had the ability to kill the black-scaled python. Fortunately, the black-scaled python did not take the initiative to attack, as if guarding the water mansion. The people on the shore breathed a sigh of relief. But the problem has arisen again. The prerequisite for entering Xuefu is to kill the black-scaled python. Everyone present joined forces. Even if they killed the black-scaled python, the human side would inevitably suffer heavy casualties. Realizing this, everyone did not act rashly. They are waiting. Waiting for more experts to arrive. Then join forces to kill the python. Time slowly runs away. The news of the birth of Xuefu quickly spread. In the inn, Xu Chen finished his cultivation. Looking at the depleted resources in front of him, Xu Chen furrowed his brows and said, 12304 spirit stones, 17 low-level yellow-level spiritual pills, 7 low-level yellow-level spiritual medicines, and 1 intermediate yellow-level spiritual medicine. Are enough resources to allow a 9-level martial artist to break through the middle stage of the condensing qi realm. Surprisingly, they only allowed me to break through 1 level of the condensing qi realm. The devouring emperor technique is indeed domineering and cultivates extremely powerful spiritual power, but every time it breaks through, it requires an astronomical number of spirit stones, 10 times or even dozens of times that of others. Xu Chen rolled over and got out of bed. After washing up, I walked out and found that there were very few pedestrians on the street. He stopped a pedestrian beside him and, upon questioning, learned from the other person that Xuefu had already been born. Xuefu was born, and Qin Jing's master must have passed by. Xu Chen set off immediately. Many people. Watching the crowds crowded the riverbank, Xu Chen muttered to himself. There are too many people here. Roughly speaking, there are at least 10,000 people. Among these 10,000 people, the difficulty of finding a goal is unimaginable. Is it the main reason why people are unable to enter the water mansion, which has already become a reality? Xu Chen's gaze fell on the 10-zhang long black-scaled python. He is now in the realm of condensation, and in front of monsters like the black-scaled python, which is comparable to the later stage of condensation, he is still not worth mentioning. The water mansion is guarded by the black-scaled python. If you want to enter it, it is not easy, but you need to kill it. At least there will be a group of late-stage warriors from the condensing qi realm who will take action. Otherwise, relying solely on a group of martial artists from the qi realm will definitely result in heavy casualties. The words have just finished. The eastern crowd suddenly became restless. I saw a group of disciples from Tianjin Mountain Villa, surrounded by a young man in purple, walking towards the water mansion. At the same time, the crowd also experienced changes in the other 3 directions. Unexpectedly, the birth of the water mansion alarmed the disciples of the Tianjin Mountain Villa, Xiaoteng. Not long ago, Xiaoteng broke through to the 8th level of the condensing qi realm and entered the top 30 disciples of the Tianjin Mountain Villa. When he took action, the black-scaled python was not afraid. Look over there, Zhao Yi, a disciple of the Luyun sect's inner sect. Surprisingly, he has also come. The people around Zhao Yi looked pale and had just recovered from a serious illness. I know him. Yesterday, he almost died tragically at the hands of the blood-hand butcher. If it weren't for a young man suddenly taking action and killing the blood-hand butcher, that person would probably have been a dead person by now. Du Xiaoqiu, one of the 8 major families, unexpectedly came as well. Tang Xiaotian, one of the 8 major families, has also come. Xiaoteng from Tianjin Villa, Zhao Yi from Luyun sect, Du Xiaoqiu from the Du family, and Tang Xiaotian from the Tang family. TSK, I never expected that the birth of the water mansion would startle these 4 people. At the scale of Guanshui Mansion, its owner had at least a cultivation level of a true Qi realm warrior before his death. True Qi realm warriors are revered as true humans, and even if it is a casual cultivation, their lifetime savings are quite amazing. Moreover, Judging from the scale of this water mansion, its owner is obviously not an ordinary true Qi realm. It is not surprising that a treasure left by a true person has attracted the coveting of Xiao Tang and his 4 companions. With the presence of Xiao Tang and the 4 others, it's an important treasure in the water mansion. We won't be able to play anymore, so we can only follow behind them and have a sip of soup. Humph, those who have a chance to obtain a treasure have strong strength and may not necessarily have a chance to obtain it. People are whispering and discussing in groups of 3 or 2. Xu Chen's gaze lingered for a moment on the 4 of Xiao Tang. Although these 4 people are very strong, their individual strength is not yet a match for the black-scaled python. However, when the 4 of them work together, the black-scaled python will only face defeat. 4 people walked from different directions and finally met on the shore. Everyone is also getting impatient. In order not to waste everyone's time, let's take action together. Xiao Tang said first. It's also good. The other 3 people had no objections and nodded one after another. After reaching an agreement, the 4 of them looked at the black-scaled python hovering in front of the water mansion with lightning-like eyes. Hands on. With a loud roar, Zhao Yi, a disciple of the Flowing Cloud sect, suddenly burst open the soil under his feet, his body resembling a shooting star, shooting towards the black-scaled python. The other 3 people's movements were also not slow, almost rushing out at the same time as Zhao Yi. The 4 of them were wrapped in surging spiritual power and shot at the black-scaled python like spears and swords. Chapter 8. Zhongpin Lingye. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang, bang, bang. 4 people and a python instantly fought together. The collision of spiritual power erupted into terrifying waves, stirring up large rivers and even splashing mud and sand at the bottom of the river. Although the cooperation among the 4 was not very tacit, the victory was in the number of people. The black-scaled python was difficult to defeat the 4 and gradually fell into a disadvantage. On top of the thick python's body, the scales of the snake exploded, the skin and flesh were torn, and scars were everywhere. The blood stained the river red. The injured wooling python ignited the ferocity within its body, and with the added risk of injury, it caused considerable damage to the 4 of Xiao Tang. Although the 4 were not on the brink of death due to serious injuries, minor injuries were still inevitable. The wooling python is seriously injured and dying. Block its retreat, don't let it escape. Xiao Tang shouted loudly. Zhao Yi also spoke up, kill it and divide the materials equally. The second-level advanced monster, the black-scaled python, is of great value. Whether it's python tendons, python skin, or demon pills, they are all priceless. 4 people can share equally, and in the end, they can also receive a considerable income. The 4 of them divided in different directions, blocking the retreat of the wooling python, leaving it with no way up to heaven or down to earth. As the black-scaled python was about to be executed by 4 people together. The wooling python is about to die. Let's take action together and kill the python and enter the mansion. Among the crowd on the shore, I don't know who shouted. As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd suddenly became calm. Even if there were thousands of people who couldn't resist the impulse, they went to kill the wooling python. 1,000 people charged forward, instantly disrupting the formation of Xiao Tang and the 4 of them. They were all in a hurry, and the black-scaled python took advantage of this opportunity and turned its direction directly. It smashed open the gate of the water mansion with its head, and with a flick of its tail, it rushed into the water mansion. Watching the black-scaled python disappear into the water mansion, Xiao Tang's 4 faces darkened with anger, wishing to kill all the 1,000-strong army that had rushed in. But this is undoubtedly a foolish move. Not to mention whether the 4 of them can join forces to kill 1,000 soldiers, although they can, it will also provoke public anger. When tens of thousands of people on the shore take action, the 4 of them will die with nothing left. The gate of Shuefu is open, let's go. Xiao Tang, a disciple of Tianjin Mountain Villa, suppressed his anger and waved his hand at the rest of Tianjian Mountain Villa. A group of people rushed into the water mansion in a grand manner. "We'll go in too. Zhao Yi of the Luyun sect is unwilling to be left behind. Let's go. Follow me in." Du Xiaoqiu and Tang Xiaotian, along with members of their respective families, followed closely behind. After the children of the four major forces entered the mansion, the others no longer had any concerns and rushed forward in a rush. Shwa 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 shwa. Shadow after shadow, like locusts, swarmed into the water mansion, some taking the lead in attacking the warriors ahead. In an instant, spiritual power surged and there was a bloody storm. Many people collapsed at the entrance of Shuefu. Xu Chen's eyes were shining brightly, searching for the target, but the person had already entered the majority and still couldn't be seen. Qin Jing's master was the culprit who killed the elder of the Xu family. Xu Chen was deeply impressed by him, and as long as the other person passed by in front of him, he would never admit his mistake. The person has entered 90%, but still cannot see the face that he hates. What's going on? Did I get scammed? Realizing that he might have been deceived, Xu Chen's face immediately turned ugly. I can't wait any longer, I'll also enter the water mansion. With a movement of his feet, Xu Chen also followed the crowd and rushed into the water mansion. Rushing into the water mansion, the light was slightly dim and his vision was slightly obstructed. Xu Chen looked up and saw hundreds of corpses lying horizontally and vertically in the main hall, with the ground stained red with blood. There are 7 or 8 stone chambers distributed on both sides of the main hall. The stone gates have been broken open by brute force, and the treasures in the chambers have almost been looted. However, there are still remnants, and some warriors are still fighting for those remnants. Xu Chen just glanced at it without any intention of interfering. He looked deep into the hall, where there were more than 10 passages leading to the depths of the water mansion. Xu Chen did not hesitate about which channel to take, but chose the third channel on the left based on his most instinctive intuition. Corpses were scattered throughout the passage, and some warriors were seriously injured but did not die, falling to the ground in pain and howling. Xu Chen saw that there were people specialized in harvesting those who were seriously injured and dying, killing them and looting their wealth, some specialized in touching corpses, and some people joined forces to hunt and kill others. The treasures in Shuefu are limited. Only a limited number of people are qualified to compete for heavy treasures. Some people with impure thoughts start to turn their minds to others. Kill them and plunder their wealth. The number of warriors pouring into the water mansion is no more than 10,000. Even if each person only has 30 to 50 spiritual stones, the total is still an astronomical number. Realizing this, Xu Chen's face was slightly serious as he looked at the warrior constantly shuttling through the passage, also secretly wary. The sound of fighting came from ahead. 3 people besieged 1 person. Soon, the besieged person died tragically under the joint efforts of 3 people. After plundering the deceased's wealth, the 3 of them looked at Xu Chen with malicious eyes. Hand over the storage ring, otherwise you'll die. The short man didn't hesitate and spoke sternly. When speaking, the 3 of them approached Xu Chen without a word or expression. As long as Xu Chen doesn't know what's good or bad, they will not hesitate to strike hard. They have done such things more than once, and no fewer than 10 people who entered the water mansion have died at the hands of their 3 brothers. Xu Chen looked at the 3 people walking towards him and coldly uttered 2 words. Seeking death. Bang bang bang. Raising their hands and clapping 3 times in a row, the terrifying force of their palms, like a hurricane or thunder, caused the 3 of them to fly backwards and collide with the stone wall of the corridor. The cracking of the wall and the sound of bone fractures echoed simultaneously. The 3 invincible individuals, with all their bones broken, died instantly. Killing 3 people casually, Xu Chen clenched his palm and a suction came from his palm. The next moment, 3 storage rings appeared in his hand. A trace of spiritual power injected into the storage ring, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of Xu Chen's mouth. There are indeed quite a few spirit stones in these 3 people's storage rings, obviously killing many people. But now it's all cheaper for him. The malicious people in the distance witnessed Xu Chen raising his hand to kill 3 people, and their faces turned pale with fear. They all left and dared not think of Xu Chen again. Feeling that all the gaze that was peeking at him in the dark had been withdrawn, Xu Chen strode towards the depths of the corridor. This time, not too far away, intense fighting sounds came from ahead again. Taking a few quick steps, Xu Chen discovered that the sound of fighting was actually coming from a stone chamber. Du Zhong, this gourd is clearly the one I saw first. As you and I are both children of the 8 major families, how about giving this gourd to me and owing you a favor? Tang Yamo said loudly. Pooh! Du Zhong spat and said, Tang Yamo, how much is your favor worth? The gourd contains a high-quality spiritual liquid, which is priceless. You want me to quit with just one word? Do you think I'm foolish? It seems there's no need to talk about it. Tang Mohan said in a voice. Du Zhong took a step forward. At the same time, the 2 children who followed Tang Mo and Du Zhong also drew their swords. In the stone chamber, swords and crossbows are drawn. Just as the 2 sides were about to erupt into a life-and-death conflict, footsteps suddenly came from outside the stone chamber. Those who don't want to die, hurry up and get lost. Tang Mo didn't even look at the person outside the door, so he drove away with a cold voice. But the sound of footsteps not only did not go far, but also got closer and closer. Finally, a figure appeared at the entrance of the stone chamber. Tang Mo saw that the person outside the door had turned a deaf ear to his warning, and a chill flashed in his eyes. He turned his head to look at the person outside the door and found that the person was a young man and not a disciple of the sect, so he didn't have to worry. Get lost. He patiently waved his hand to drive away. Xu Chen ignored it. His gaze fell on the jade gourd in Tang Mo's hand. Is the jade skin gourd a medium-grade spiritual liquid? The value of a high-quality spiritual liquid in a gourd is not lower than 100,000 spiritual stones. No wonder the children of the Tang and Du families are willing to fight or die for it. Good advice is hard to persuade to die. Kid, I gave you 2 opportunities, but you don't know how to cherish them. Tang Mo has a murderous intent in his heart. Kill him. A descendant of the Tang family stood out and drew his sword to chop towards Xu Chen. Chapter 9. Sealing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang. Click. The long sword is blocked and broken in 2. And the Tang family's young man who swung his sword towards Xu Chen shook his body and lowered his head to see that half of the blade was actually piercing his chest. He died under his own weapons. Under the surprised gaze of everyone, the person slowly fell to the ground with unwillingness. Tang Mo was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that a seemingly unremarkable young man would dare to kill members of the Tang family. He had a cold expression and a murderous intent surged in his eyes. Chop him. With a command, the children of the Tang family drew their swords and attacked Xu Chen from all directions. The children of the Tang family are mostly practicing qi, with a large number of people, but they do not pose much threat to Xu Chen. Xu Chen's body shook and disappeared in place, and all the roaring attacks fell through. Almost at the same time, Xu Chen unknowingly bullied someone in front of him. Under his stunned gaze, he clenched his fist seal and punched out straight. Click. My head exploded like a watermelon. Blood splattered. The headless body shook and fell straight to the ground. Kill one person in front of another. The movements are clean and neat. Not dragging mud or water at all. Bang. Puff. Spiritual power surged into his right leg and was suddenly pulled out. With a loud bang, a heavy martial artist in the condensed chi realm, exploded with a cloud of blood mist around his waist, and his body, like a broken kite, flew out uncontrollably. At this moment, Xu Chen was like a fierce tiger descending the mountain, unstoppable. Between breathing. The children of the Tang family have suffered 3 deaths and 2 injuries. Tang Mo's eyelids twitched as he looked at Xu Chen, who looked like a god of killing. Du Zhong, this person is tricky. Our 2 families will work together to kill this person and then divide the spiritual liquid equally. What do you think? After realizing Xu Chen's threat, Tang Mo actually wanted to join forces with Du Zhong. At this moment, Du Zhong sneered and refused Tang Mo's proposal to join forces. This person has no grievances or grudges against my Du family. Why should I join forces with you? You. Don't be impatient. He gave Du Zhong a fierce glance, then drew out his long sword. With a surge of spiritual power, he swung it out, his sharp sword energy splitting through the air and making a sharp piercing sound, intending to split Xu Chen in half. Death. A hoarse roar emanated from his mouth. Puff. Xu Chen cut a person's neck with a knife, stepped a little, and skillfully avoided the falling blade. Triple condensation state, but that's all. Xu Chen spoke lightly. After speaking, a jet-black spiritual power surged above his hands and he slapped Tang Mo with a palm. Tang Mo struck back with a sharp blade, emitting a brilliant aura and fiercely slashing towards Xu Chen's palm. Bang! When the palm knife touched, a deep sound echoed. As Tang Mo was about to cut, his face suddenly changed. In his perception, the long sword was tightly attached to the opponent's palm, making him unable to retract it. He secretly thought something was wrong, and when he was about to abandon the knife and retreat, he was horrified to find that a terrifying suction was emanating from the handle of the knife, tightly gripping his right hand. Under that suction, his spiritual power flowed uncontrollably into the handle. He struggled hard. But to no avail. Between breaths, 1/3 of the spiritual power in the body disappeared. Continuing the stalemate, he will sooner or later be devoured and dried up. Hand over the spiritual liquid, I'll spare you from dying. Xu Chen said lightly. Tang Mo's face changed for a moment, and in the end, with a flick of his left hand, he threw the jade gourd to Du Zhong. Du Zhong never expected that Tang Mo would easily hand over the spiritual liquid to him. After reaching out to take the jade skin gourd, he still felt a bit unreal. The jade skin gourd, which was almost a life and death struggle, was so easily obtained. But the next moment, Du Zhong's face changed. Because Xu Chen gave up on Tang Mo and came to kill him. Xu Chen's speed was very fast, and before Du Zhong could react, he had already deceived himself in front of him. How dare you? How could the spiritual liquid he received be handed over? Du Zhong let out a roar and punched Xu Chen's face door. Xu Chen doesn't dodge or dodge. I fought it hard with a punch. Bang! Du Zhongru was hit hard, with blood overflowing from the corner of his mouth, and his body flew out like a shell. And the jade gourd also flew out of hand. Xu Chen, with quick eyes and quick hands, grabbed the jade gourd and put it into the storage ring. Then, with a flash of his figure, he disappeared into the stone chamber. Du Zhong got up from the ground and saw that Xu Chen had already left, his face turning pale with anger. After leaving the stone chamber, Xu Chen continued to run towards the depths of the water mansion. 10 minutes later, Xu Chen saw a stone chamber. As he approached the stone chamber, he was surprised to find that the material of the stone gate was not ordinary, it was a rather rare type of Qingling stone. Qingling stone, in terms of hardness, is comparable to metal and has excellent spiritual conductivity. It is generally used to arrange formations. As Xu Chen approached, he was pleasantly surprised and said, "There is a seal on the stone door, and the seal is intact and undamaged." In other words, the treasures in the stone chamber are well preserved and have not been looted. Xu Chen was overjoyed. There must be something good hidden in the stone chamber. He clenched his fist and impatiently slammed it onto the stone gate. Intend to break through with brute force. Boom. A punch with all one's might was powerful enough to blast a giant stone the size of a grinding wheel, but when it hit the stone gate, it remained motionless. Not only did Xu Chen fail to shake the stone gate in the slightest, but he was also shocked by the anti-shock force and took a step back, causing a surge of qi and blood in his body. The seal is too strong, no wonder it can be preserved intact. Before me, it wasn't because no one had discovered this stone chamber, but because they had discovered it and couldn't break the seal, they had to endure the pain and leave. At this point, Xu Chen not only did not lose heart, but also became even more excited. The stronger the seal, the more precious the treasures inside the stone chamber become. Boom boom boom. He used his spiritual power and punched several times in a row, causing the air to burst with a roar, but the stone gate remained motionless. Cough! Xu Chen coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood. The seal on the stone gate not only has terrifying defense capabilities, but also has a headache-inducing anti-shock effect, which will truthfully reverse the attack on the seal. That is to say, the stronger Xu Chen's attack, the more terrifying the anti-seismic force he suffered. This seal. I'm afraid only the strong ones in the true Qi realm can break it. Xu Chen frowned tightly. Brute force cannot break through, and he cannot break through the formation. Should we give up? By the way, give this method a try. After a moment of contemplation, Xu Chen extended his right hand and pressed his palm tightly against the stone gate. The next moment, he operates the Devouring Emperor technique. The terrifying power of devouring spread from his palm. The seal of the stone gate has gone through countless years. Even though it can still function, how much energy can remain? As long as the energy of the seal is consumed and the energy supply is lost, the seal will not break through on its own. Chapter 10. Spirit Stone, Fire Crystal, and Spirit Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The remaining pure energy in the seal was gradually consumed by Xu Chen. As time passed, Xu Chen's aura also became stronger and stronger. Cultivation gradually rises from the initial stage of the condensed Qi realm to the middle stage, then to the later stage, reaching its peak. Feeling the rapid improvement of cultivation, Xu Chen was overjoyed, which at least saved him thousands of spiritual stones. The energy of the seal far exceeded his expectations. Even if there was no gain behind the stone gate, he did not waste his trip. Click. With a faint and imperceptible sound emanating from his body, Xu Chen went further and broke through to the dual realm of condensed qi. It's not over yet. In the early stage. Middle stage. Later stage. As more and more energy was consumed, Xu Chen didn't like or worry because he felt that the sealed energy seemed to be flowing continuously. Why? This is illogical. The reason for the birth of the water mansion is that the energy required to maintain its operation has been depleted, but the stone gate seal is clearly connected to a huge energy pool, in which energy is inexhaustible. With such a huge energy pool, shouldn't Xuefu be born at this time? Just as Xu Chen frowned and pondered, the stone gate suddenly shook. Next up. The seal is rapidly weakening. What's going on? Has the energy of the seal been depleted? Xu Chen was both surprised and delighted. He exerted force in his palm and pushed fiercely, only to hear a creak. Without the blessing of the seal, the stone gate was slowly pushed open by Xu Chen. Xu Chen set aside his doubts and stepped into it step by step. This is a stone chamber with an area of about 100 square meters, and the surrounding walls are covered with fist-sized sunlit stones. In the central area of the stone chamber, there is a bronze cauldron, which is over 2 meters high and is engraved with countless runes. In front of the bronze cauldron, there are 2 large and 1 small boxes. Yi Chen held his breath and walked over to open the first large box on the left. The box is filled with neatly cut spirit stones. Compared to inferior spirit stones, the spirit stones in the box are more crystal clear and emit a more pure spiritual energy. Guru. Yi Chen struggled to swallow his saliva. Medium-grade spirit stone. The spirit stone in the box is truly a medium-grade spirit stone. Lingye is divided into 4 grades. Lower, middle, upper, and extreme. The inferior spirit stone is the worst. The best quality spirit stone. A medium-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10 lower-grade spirit stones, but no one would do so. The large box in front of Xu Chen at this moment contains at least 100,000 intermediate spiritual stones. If exchanged for inferior spiritual stones, it would be 1,000,000 yuan. What kind of concept is this? The army of 10,000 people who entered Xuefu this time may not have a total of 1,000,000 spirit stones on their bodies. The Lingye in the box was quickly put away, and Xu Chen extended a slightly trembling hand to open the second large box. At the moment the box was opened, a wave of heat rushed towards us. The air in the stone chamber has significantly increased by a few degrees. The box was ablaze with flames. Fire crystal. After seeing the contents in the box, Xu Chen was surprised again. Fire crystal is a type of fire attribute crystal, which is an essential material for alchemists when refining. Fire crystals also have grades. The fire crystal in the box is of medium quality. Its value should be higher than that of medium-grade spirit stones. Xu Chen packed away his second large box with a dry mouth and tongue. Finally, his gaze fell on the third box. Compared to the first 2 boxes, this box is significantly smaller. Crunch, the box slowly opened. Xu Chen couldn't help but take a cold breath. Xian level intermediate spiritual medicine, 9-tailed sunflower flower grass, Xian level low.level spiritual medicine, prolonging life fruit, Xian level low.level spiritual medicine, producing flowers, Xian level intermediate spiritual medicine. There are a total of 17 spiritual medicines. All of them are Xuanjie Lingyao. The price is priceless. Lingye, Huijing, Lingyao, and the Lord of the Water Mansion are really impressive. Most true Qi realm warriors may not have as much wealth as this 1/10. The Lord of the Water Mansion, his cultivation before his death was probably not limited to the realm of true Qi. Walking to the bronze cauldron, Xu Chen reached out to touch it, and his face changed accordingly. Surprisingly, there is still residual warmth in the big cauldron. He carefully examined the cauldron. Spiritual artifact, this is a spiritual artifact. Xu Chen's face showed a look of ecstasy. Master Xuefu, is it using the spiritual tool, De Ding, to refine pills? After an unknown number of years, the big cauldron still retains some residual warmth. So, has the medicine in the cauldron been refined or has it failed? Xu Chen opened the lid of the cauldron and looked inside. At the bottom of the big cauldron, 3 red-colored pills lay prominently. Surprisingly, there are pills. Take the pill into your palm. Xu Chen carefully scrutinized. The next moment, he almost blurted it out. Sanjuan Yensho Dan. Earth level low.level pill. Sanjuan Yensho Dan, taken by martial artists, can prolong the lifespan of 3 generations, which is 180 years. The price is priceless. The true value is priceless. Even with spirit stones, one cannot buy precious spiritual pills. Xu Chen stared passionately at the 3 bright red 3-turn life-extending pills. He was forced to take the burning life pill before, which overdrawn his lifespan. Although he made up for some of his lifespan by inheriting the inheritance of the devouring emperor, he still suffered some losses. It's all right now. Taking the Sanjuan Yensho Dan can not only completely compensate for the loss of the burning life pill, but also greatly increase its lifespan. He opened his mouth and threw a 3-turn longevity pill into his mouth. The pill melts at the entrance. After the warm medicine dissipated, it quickly spread throughout the body. Da. My ears suddenly twitched. I heard the faint sound of footsteps. Someone is approaching. Xu Chen waved his hand and collected the cauldron, then rushed out of the stone chamber and left without looking back. Xu Chen left with his feet in front, and a group of people arrived with their feet behind. We arrived late and this stone chamber was also looted. Let's go to the next stone chamber. This group of people was about to leave when a person wrapped in a black robe appeared at the entrance of the stone chamber at some point, blocking their path. Hand over the thunder fire cauldron, hand over the 3 transformations life-extending pill, I'll spare you from dying. The black-robed man said coldly. What thunder fire cauldron? What 3 transformations of life-extending pill? Pretend to be mischievous. Hurry up and get out of here, otherwise don't blame us for being impolite. The group of people in the stone chamber were not afraid at all and shouted loudly. Stubborn and inflexible. The black-robed man raised his hand and waved it. Black mist swept over. Spread throughout the entire stone chamber. The screams echoed out loud. The black mist dissipated. In the stone chamber, there are several corpses upside down in 7 vertical and horizontal directions. Under the gaze of the black-robed man, the corpses on the ground began to gradually wither, and finally their flesh and blood disappeared, transforming into white bones. The blood-refining formation has been activated, and those who die in the water mansion will be refined by the formation. There are tens of thousands of warriors entering the water mansion. Although most of them practice Qi realm martial arts, refining them can also awaken the sleeping blood protection method. Lei Huiding and Sanjuan Yanshou Dan are temporarily lost, but as long as that person has not left Shuefu, they will eventually return to my hands. The black-robed man murmured softly. The battle on the other side should also be about to begin. This time, it's worth it. Xu Chen ran along the corridor. He did not make any further stops on the way because most of the stone chambers behind him were abandoned and had no value in searching. So, as he ran with all his might, about a quarter of an hour passed, and the seemingly endless corridor finally saw its exit. A river of noise, chatter, scolding, converging into sounds, rolling in and out. Xu Chen slowed down and walked slowly out of the passage. Outside the passageway, there is a huge hall capable of accommodating tens of thousands of people, with over 10 passageways surrounding the main hall. This hall is the core area of Shuefu. The warriors who flooded into the water mansion, as long as they did not die, finally gathered here.